Hello, friends. Welcome to Chalking Up the Walls. My name is April, and you are in my craft room, so welcome. It's Thursday, yay! You guys know what that means. It's Thrifty Thursday. Pretty excited about this one. I need one, let's be real, I always change up my decor, like, even as the season goes on, but I definitely have a space on my mantle that I need a little something. So I am going to make it using some thrift store finds. The main inspiration, well, I guess there's two, but the main inspiration for this week's project is this cute, I guess it's like a garland with all these different Easter eggs on it. Look, and they're all painted like pretty colors and whatnot. So I got this whole, and they're actually like fairly substantial. I mean, they're not heavy, but they're fairly substantial. I got this, I'll get some of these tags off of here. I got this garland. Are you going to come off nicely, please and thank you? No, kind of. Okay, anyway, I got this. I might have to touch that up, or I can just, because the sticker took off some of the paint, but that's okay. So I got this garland from, local thrift shop here in town called the Giving Tree, which is one of my go-to local thrift shops. I always find like the best stuff there. Plus I like supporting it because the money that they make there goes to benefit our local senior center. So that's always good. Help the seniors. So anyway, I got this garland. It was $1. So I am going to, let's just go ahead and do it. You know what? Actually, no, because I don't want them rolling all around. Okay, so I am eventually going to take these off because they slide, so they'll come off pretty nicely. And then I guess I need to take the price tag off of this as well. You know what? I should have learned our lesson the last time. Let's just put a little heat on there. Makes it a whole lot easier to remove little stickers off of things if you get that glue warmed up. If I can get my fingernail underneath there, we'll be getting somewhere. Maybe. Guys, I'm going tomorrow to get my nails redone, and I'm going to definitely make sure that they cut them down a little bit because they're getting a little long. And when we get this long, I can't craft like I'm used to because I'm just not used to my nails being so long. But anyway, okay, so dollar garland that we're going to cut up and use the eggs off of. I might actually keep those little bows because those are kind of cute too. And then this, I don't think there's a price tag on it. But this is like a planter box, right? Raw wood that someone has kind of painted to a certain extent, roughed up a little bit. And I got this when we went to, it's been a couple weeks, but I think I was telling you guys that my daughter and I went to a vintage market at a fairground near us. And I found this, and it was also $1, and I thought that's a steal, because this is like really nice, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. Obviously, you know, like we're gonna fill it, but you could also flip it over and use it almost as a riser too, which I thought was kind of neat. So we're definitely going to incorporate these two things together. And then in my craft stash, I found, and actually I did take the sticker off of it already, but this came, so it says Happy Easter. It came from Joann's, which, if you're not familiar, is a dominantly fabric, but a craft store. That is, whoa, the paint went everywhere. Anyway, a craft store, and I believe it actually went out of business, which is just terribly sad because I absolutely love that store. I've got a ton of paint that came bubbling up. This particular container of paint was almost empty, so I had it stored upside down, and evidently all of the paint went to the top, which is what I wanted it to do, but I didn't necessarily want it to like ooze out all over the place. Okay, let's clean that up right quick before we get started. Before I get it all over me. All right. Good old paper towel to the rescue. All right, sweet. So what are you guys up to this Thursday? Anybody doing anything fun? It's incredibly windy. We were supposed to get rain, and I think it rained here for like, I don't know, a couple minutes. But it is no longer raining, so I'm hoping that that's kind of over. But anyway, I am just going to take the wood and just add a little bit of this. I think it's called Honey Brown. Yes, Honey Brown acrylic paint. Using my makeup sponge method, just to give it a little bit of color so it stands out a little bit more from this this wooden planter. That's what I'm calling it anyway, wooden planter. I'm not going to be doing anything to the actual planter. I like the off-white color. I think that's nice and neutral and all good, but this raw wood was just gonna kind of blend into it, and it just wasn't gonna like look great. I mean, it would have been fine, but I want it to look a little bit more, I want it to pop off just a little bit more. Okay, so there's that. Let's let that dry. And while that's drying a little bit, let's get to working on these things. Okay, so I like this raffia though. It's kind of a cute little bow. I might end up putting this on a wreath or something. I think that's really kind of cute. See, we could just cut this down and then it'll be like a cute little bow. So I am going to save the ends and incorporate them into some other little project. But like I said, they're just gonna slide off of there. And so obviously they have holes through the eggs, which I'm not too worried about. If the holes bothered you, you could fill them in with some hot glue and paint over them. But honestly, for what I'm doing with this, it's not going to matter. No one's really going to see them. This box is actually going to end up on my, probably as the centerpiece of my mantle display, because I don't really have anything there right now. So I think that's where they're going to go. Okay, and then let's save this one too, because we could do something with that. However, we're not going to need those. Okay, and we're off. All right, so let's set our eggs over here, and let's, you know what, I don't want to fill it until I have this on here. So let's make sure that this brown is dry and looks good. We'll put our words on here. Let's do one more coat of this brown. I'm just going to take the whole lid off, because we know that there's paint in the lid because it went flying all over the place. So anyway, we're just going to do another quick little coat on here, and we'll get this little planter put together. This is going to go pretty quickly, I think. Not a whole lot of actual crafting per se going on. This is more just decorating and putting it all together. But we're using our fun little thrifty finds, so all good. Okay, I think that's going to be fine. Enough paint for now. All right, and we're off. Okay, so again, let's just hit this with a little bit of heat. The wood soaks up this paint really well, really fast, so it takes like just seconds for it to dry. If you weren't in any sort of big hurry, you could just let it sit there, and probably in a matter of like a minute or two, it would be dry. All right, so just be very careful when we're peeling it off of our sticky tape, because these are very thin cutouts, and I don't want to break them. Okay, good to go. All right, done with that. Now, I went back and forth as to how I wanted to get this to sit on here, and I have decided that I'm going to use some hot glue. Typically, when I work with these like real thin wood cuts, I use my wood glue. But I'm going to want to reuse this box. So I'm using the hot glue because when the season is over and I'm ready to mix it up, I'm just going to be able to take that heat tool that we were just using to dry. There's a chunk. Come off of there. I need something. I've got like a piece of glue down inside my glue gun. That's really strange. I don't believe I've ever seen it do that before, but whatever. Goodbye. And just like that, the little glue fuzzy is gone. So like I was saying, whenever the season is over and I want to take this this word off of here, or these words off of here, I'll just use that same heat tool, heat up my hot glue, and it'll just be, we'll be able to just pop it off. Okay, so taking a little bit of glue, and being that I am fully planning on reusing this, I'm not going to use a ton of glue. Just a little bit in some select spaces. It'll be enough to hold it on there, and it's not like I'm going to be throwing this thing around, so once it's on there, it's going to be fine. We are going to have some little strings, though. Okay, I think that's going to be okay. All right. I need a little bit on the end here. Changed my mind, because I do want it to, like, actually lay kind of flat. Okay, that should be good. All right, now before this glue gets to drying on us, let's put her down, and we can clean our strings up in a second. Okay, so let's just kind of get it somewhat in the middle. Right about there is where I'm going with it. We're just going to press so it sticks. And then I'm going to take my little pokey tool here and clean up these little strings. Make sure that it's stuck on there. It is not very well stuck on there. The glue might not have been quite hot enough. All right, let's try that again. And do it a little faster this time. Sometimes when you first get your glue gun going, the glue at the end isn't like super warm. Being very careful not to get this glue on my finger though, because it's hot. Oops, might have gotten some on our table though. Okay, anyway, back on. Stay, happy Easter. Stay. And there we are. Happy Easter. Backwards for you, but happy Easter nevertheless. All right, we're gonna let that sit and set up a tad. Might need to come back in and add like a, you know what we could do is add one of these. If I can get it off here. Just to make sure we got our corners down. But anyway, if you weren't planning to reuse this, you could just use the wood glue. But anyway, let's get that to stick up in there so it stays a little better. Okay, awesome. I like that. I am happy with that. Okay, so now that we have our words on there, we're just gonna fill it. So I've got this crinkly craft kind of paper, the stuff that you would use for like gift baskets and whatnot, that I got, gosh, probably back around Christmas time. So I'm going to use some of this to fill in the space, and I'm going to add some moss. Could definitely use some Easter grass. I didn't even think about going to look to see if I had Easter grass, but this little craft paper is going to be fine. We're just going to kind of shove it in there, break it up. Might be a little too much. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely going to be enough, in my opinion. All right. Now we're just going to kind of squish it down here. If we've got any pieces that just absolutely will not squish, we will trim them off. Because I am more or less just using this as like space filler. And then I'm going to put my eggs in here. All right, well, that worked out pretty good. We're just gonna smash it down, right? We have it mostly full, but not totally full. And then we're just gonna place our eggs. You know what? We wouldn't have necessarily even need the moss. We're just gonna put our eggs kind of how we like them, wherever we want them. They should all fit. We can get them to kind of sit and be nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm even going to add the moss because that looks really cute like that. What do you think? All our different eggs in our happy little Easter basket. All right, so like I said, that was going to go super quick because we didn't really have to do much other than paint that. So I have another little project that I want to do. So since that went so fast, let's go ahead and knock it out. I am going to, I got this like pillow insert from the thrift shop for 50 cents, right? So it's basically like the polyfill, and I may end up actually like opening it up and taking the polyfill out of it, seeing, depending on how this goes. But I am going to use, in preparation for, I have some bee decor that I'm going to be putting up in a different part of my house. So I think this little pillow will look really cute. I have like a little chair next to this area in my house. So I just want to make like a little, like just a little decorative little pillow. So this is actually a placemat though, okay? And I know that my daughter and I got this from, I was looking to see if I have an X-Acto knife because that would make this so much easier, but I think we're just going to go in with the scissors. It'll be okay. I got this placemat from the Goodwill bins. All right, so we're just going to make a small little, separate the layers, make sure we cut the right part. And we're just going to cut like a tiny little hole along this end so we can get in here, hopefully. I may need much, much sharper scissors. Let me see if these scissors are any better. Okay, so again, on the back side, and we're just going to cut a little hole like there. Okay, awesome. And now we're going to run our scissors along this hole. I'm just going to shove it in there and just make a little cut. Doesn't necessarily have to go all the way down, but you want to make the cut big enough where you can, you know, get your fingers in there. And then we can put our pillow piece in. Yeah, I think I am though. It'll make it a whole lot easier for me to stuff if I take the stuffing out of this container. Okay, so we just snipped the end there. We're just gonna kind of like rip it open and get our polyfill because I don't want it to be like super fluffy. But I obviously want it to, you know, have a little fluff to it and make it a pillow. All right, and then we're just gonna start stuffing it. So you can do this with any type of placemat. I know, like the dollar stores always have really cute seasonal placemats that work out really well for this. And we're just shoving our polyfill, our pillow stuffing down into the bottom. Making sure we get into the corners. We're just stuffing it. But yeah, like I was saying, you can find placemats almost anywhere, and you can find them pretty inexpensively at like your dollar store, or you can find like some like much higher end ones at like different home stores and whatnot. And then yeah, the idea is that you just kind of cut like a little slit on the back side on the end, and you can make your own decorative pillow for whatever style, season, holiday, whatever you're into. They have a ton of different patterns and whatnot. Okay, so we're just gonna keep stuffing it. But like I said, when I saw this, let's see if I can get this all to go in. When I saw these like pillow forms or whatever at the thrift shop, I was like, that is gonna be perfect. Like almost the perfect size for one of these just like little decorative throw pillows. And for 50 cents, you can't beat it. Polyfill isn't super, super expensive, and you do get a ton in a bag, but it's more expensive than that, so we're just gonna use this. I actually have a bag of polyfill though, in case we do need some more that I've used for different projects, but I honestly think this is probably gonna be enough. I think there's about 2 more handfuls left, and then we're just gonna Could use a fabric glue, but I'm gonna use just our hot glue since I have it already all warmed up over here, ready to go. And we're just gonna seal this edge, and you know, being that it's the back of the pillow, no one's really gonna see it anyway. But it's gonna completely hide the fact that we opened it and stuffed it, and that it's a placemat, not a pillow. Okay, that is that. We don't need that anymore. All right, yes, that ended up being like the absolute perfect amount. Okay, so I am gonna tuck it while I've got my while I'm still able to get my hand in here. I'm gonna tuck it into these corners. Oh, I was wrong. There's the rain. It's back. Okay. And then we're going to take our hot glue and we're going to seal this opening. That's why I was saying don't make the opening too big, because once whatever you've opened, you have to re-glue. Could use a fabric glue for sure, but like I said, I am using hot glue because it's faster and it's easy. All right, so you just run a bead of your hot glue all along that line that you've ripped open. And then you just close it up. Line up your corners or your edges here. Smash it down. Okay. We may need to add a little bit more here. And I might actually roll this edge over. Make it look a little bit nicer. Let's do that. All right, so we're just putting our glue in here and we're just gonna seal it up. Like so. We're just gonna press until that hot glue holds. Could definitely come in if you were a sewing type and clean it up a little bit better, but this is gonna be perfect. All right, we've got it all sealed up. It looks great. And now we have made a pillow. That's gonna look super cute on my, on the little chair, like at my entryway, is my thought there. All right, I got like some Rug glue right there, but that's okay. We've got it sealed up. And like I said, once this dries and it goes on my chair, no one's really gonna see it, but got glue on my finger. All right, perfect. Perfect. Like I said, it's just gonna sit and be cool. All right, so let's just kind of push that polyfill back out, kind of even it out. And we have our pillow. We took a flat, I actually got this design too, which I plan on making another one. But we took a flat placemat, so you guys can just see, a flat placemat, opened up one of the seams, and made a super cute little decorative pillow for, like I said, I got these from the Goodwill bin, so being that they're like $2 a pound, I would imagine this, you know, these are incredibly light, cost basically nothing, next to nothing. And then we got that polyfill from the thrift shop for 50 cents. So we made a super cute decorative pillow for less than $1. All right. And then our other main project that we did today was this adorable little planter box that we spruced up for the Easter spring holiday season. And that, my friends, is that. Well, I hope you guys have been inspired to find you some thrifty finds and decorate your home with some cool stuff. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and I will be back tomorrow with another fun little project. All right, guys, take care. Bye.